Right about now, I would ask, so what did we learn today? Well, so far it's been pretty much a disaster from the start, so let's go back to the beginning. So this is the 200cc Predator engine that we built in episode 7. Now it has all sorts of goodies in it, for instance the Mikuni BM22 carburetor. It has stainless steel valves with 18-pound valve springs, a high compression cylinder head, and oh yeah, an ARC billet connecting rod, plus a bunch of other little details. Anyway, this little engine got our street legal go-kart up to an epic 54 miles an hour on a flat and level road. Getting to and passing the 50 mile per hour threshold was our goal from the beginning, and it was an amazing feat. However, the performance at the drag strip was abysmal. As you can see, the stock Predator engine was able to go from 0 to 30 miles an hour in 25 seconds. The Stage 1 engine was 2 seconds faster, but when we got to the Stage 2 engine, we went backwards. Now this car is definitely a lot faster with the Stage 2 engine, so how can a fast car be slow? Well, it's all in the way the engine was built and tuned. You see, the engine was built to make power on the top end, and we lost a little bit of performance on the bottom end. Specifically, this is due to our camshaft selection. Now, as I mentioned in episode 7, there is no perfect grind for a camshaft. Basically, all camshafts are a compromise in one way or another. Currently, we're running the Mod 2 camshaft, and it's more of an upper RPM type camshaft. Now, we could retune the engine by swapping out the camshaft for a mid-range unit like a CL1, as a viewer suggested, but I think that's an experiment for another day. So let's try tuning something else. That's right, today we're going to tune the clutch. The idea behind tuning the clutch is, if we raise the clutch's engagement speed, the engine RPMs will be closer to the zone where the power is being made, or something like that. Anyway, let's see what kind of shenanigans we can get into. In order to open up this clutch, you'll need a special tool. Now this tool is made from scrap metal and it works great. It fits in the clutch cover like this. Now another thing we'll need is a shaft and a key. Okay, so we have the shaft with the key already locked down in the vise, and now we just pop the clutch onto the shaft. At this point we can grab the tool and loosen the clutch cover. You'll want to turn the clutch cover counterclockwise, and it takes a lot of effort to break the clutch free. Now I'm set up pretty good here, the vise is of good quality, and the table it's mounted on weighs over 1,000 pounds, so your results may vary. Once the clutch breaks loose, just spin it counterclockwise. Keep in mind the clutch is spring-loaded, but it's not under a lot of pressure, just a few pounds. Alright, well that wasn't so bad. Now let's take a look at what's on the inside. This clutch has 9 plastic composite pucks and a fairly large spring tying them all together. When this clutch spins, the centrifugal force will fling the pucks outward, and the rest is some sort of magic. Let's take a look at the manual. It says here we can operate the clutch with 3 of the 9 pucks, and that'll raise the engagement speed to 2,900 RPM. Now let's give that a shot. So the pucks come out fairly easy with a flat blade screwdriver. It's a bit awkward, but once you get the hang of it, it's no big deal. Now that we have the clutch modified, I'm going to give it a coating of dry film lubricant. You really shouldn't use oil on these clutches because it'll both get on the belt and allow accumulation of dirt and grit inside the clutch. This dry film lubricant goes on wet, and it dries and leaves a non-tacky film on all the moving surfaces. Putting the clutch back together is straightforward. Just stack the parts and press them together while spinning them clockwise. It takes some practice, but the thread should engage right away. The last step is tightening the clutch cover. Now I have no idea what the torque value is, and I just make them good and tight. So let's throw this back on the engine and see how it works. And now we encounter our first problem. At first the clutch looked like it was working just fine, but under a closer examination we can see that the clutch is not retracting properly. So now we have to take it apart again. Now there's your problem. Apparently the big spring popped off. Now off camera I fixed the problem when I tried it again, and sure enough the spring popped off again. I reckon this ain't gonna work. Now let's look at the manual again. Okay, well it looks like we can try 6 pucks for a 2300 RPM engagement. Meh, that's kind of boring. Let's think outside the box. So these pucks weigh 54 grams each and have a pretty big steel slug embedded in them. What about drilling out some of the material to lighten the clutch puck? Okay, well I thought you'd never ask. Alright, so now we have a modified puck and it weighs in at 42.8 grams. Let's stack them and see what the total weight is. Looks like the whole stack weighs 257 grams. Now let's take a look at the chart again. Well, with our modified pucks, it looks like we'll see something like a 2500 RPM engagement speed. Now that's 600 RPM faster than what we started with. It's better than nothing. Okay, this time everything checked out and the clutch was functioning just fine. So let's do a quick test ride without any cameras, because why would I record anything? You know, after all, this is a YouTube channel. Anyway, what happened next involves one of these and one of these. Alright, well let's see what happened. Well, the clutch sort of worked fine, but this thing didn't. Sort of a WTF moment. Anyway, it broke and the car stopped moving. Go figure. Let's take a closer look. I don't know, it's clearly busted, but why? So I did a quick Google search and it doesn't appear that this is a common problem. This adapter seems just fine for go-karts and mini bikes, but perhaps it was a fluke or something. The bottom line is, even though I have another one, I don't trust this setup anymore. So let's try something different. Now the carburetor on this engine is basically the stock modified carburetor that we used on our Stage 1 engine. Oh yeah, and by the way, I still owe you guys dyno runs on our Stage 1 and Stage 2 engines. I didn't forget, they'll be coming soon, along with more 420 build videos. Anyway, I feel like I don't want to get stranded again, so let's go with a more stable carburetor setup. So with a decent pair of walking shoes, I set out for another ride. After a few minutes of driving, I located a patch of flat road that I can do my 0 to 30 acceleration test on. Let's watch. Nope, basically no difference. The car still struggles on the low end. Now this could be due to the carburetor because the carb definitely is a bottleneck. When it comes to performance, the Mikuni carb was definitely much better, except for the falling off thing. I'm not a big fan of that. Ah, deja vu. So what did we learn? Well, a bunch of stuff. Now where do we start? The Comet 44 Magnum clutch will not work with 3 pucks. The modified clutch did in fact engage at a higher RPM, but it didn't seem to help. I reckon we also need to adjust the driven pulley too. You see, the driven pulley is adjustable, but I didn't realize this until after the video was finished. RTFM. Go ahead, look it up. There appears to be a difference between Mikuni and the stock carburetor, so that's good. I spelled "there" wrong on purpose, but feel free to correct me in the comment section. I reckon there will be a part 2, and we'll sort this out. Hey, if you're still watching, you must have enjoyed the video. Do me a favor and click on the like button. And while you're at it, click on subscribe and don't forget to click the notification bell. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop a note in the comment section. Thanks for watching.